Today we're diving into project scope. If you've ever wondered what project scope is, why it's so crucial, how it's applied, then this video is for you. So let's get started. So what exactly is project scope? Well, in the simplest terms, project scope refers to all the work involved in creating the deliverables of a project. It's used to define what's included and, just as importantly, what's not included in the project. Imagine you're planning a party. The project scope could cover everything from the guest list, the venue, the decorations, all the way to things like food, drinks, and entertainment. By clearly defining the project scope, we set the boundaries and expectations for the project, ensuring that everyone knows exactly what needs to be done. So why is having project scope so important? Well, having a clear project scope helps to avoid scope creep. This is when additional features or tasks get added to a project without the corresponding adjustments to time, budget, or resources. It can improve team focus by letting everyone know what's included in the project so they can focus their efforts on what's truly important. And it can help to manage stakeholder expectations. A clearly defined scope helps in setting and managing expectations for all stakeholders, ensuring that there are no surprises down the road. How do we apply project scope in real-world projects? Well, the process generally involves defining project objectives, where you articulate what we're aiming to achieve and what the intended outcome of the work is. Determine deliverables, being specific about the components and outputs the project's going to produce. Identify tasks and activities, what work needs to be done to create the deliverables, and establishing boundaries. Be very clear about what's included and excluded from the project. Who gets to decide the project scope? Well, typically the project scope is defined by the project manager, working in collaboration with the project sponsor and key stakeholders. The sponsor is often a senior executive or somebody with significant authority in the organisation, and they have the final say. They get to approve the project scope. I said the scope's typically defined by the project manager, but everywhere I've ever worked has done this to a greater or lesser extent. In some cases, the project manager receives a very detailed scope as soon as the project's handed to them, and they just focus on validating it with stakeholders before it is approved. In other organisations, I've seen project managers just receive the project objectives and be told to go and figure it out. Neither approach is right or wrong, it just needs to work for that organisation and for all parties to have appropriate expectations. But whichever way it goes, stakeholder and sponsor input is crucial to ensure that the scope aligns with business goals. How do you write a project scope? Well, that deserves its own video, and it's one I plan to record in the next few weeks. So feel free to drop an encouraging post in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the video when it gets published. Okay? What happens if you need to change the project scope? Well, changes are inevitable in any project, but managing them effectively is key. So here's a high-level view on how you handle scope changes. Firstly, evaluate the impact. Assess how the change is going to impact on timelines, budgets, resources. Next, you need to get approval. Any change to project scope should be approved by the sponsor and possibly other stakeholders. Make sure you check out the governance at your organisation to ensure that you get all the required approvals. And finally, once the change has been approved, you update your project plan and you communicate the changes to your team. This helps in maintaining control of the project and ensuring that the changes don't derail the overall project objectives. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more project management tips and insights. And if you want to go into a little bit more detail about how to change project scope or anything else about an in-flight project, then you should check out this video next. But get a notepad because we go into a lot of detail.